Thank you. Congratulations. I think
Thank
you're
you,
a really good choice. You're a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves, is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
What do you do?
I'm currently an international law officer for a civil affairs command based in Fort Wadsworth, New York.
So you're a JAG officer?
Yes, Senator.
So if Pete Hexba gives you a hard time, call me.
Right, yes, Senator. You got it.
So, so Senator Whitehouse and myself have been working on climate issues for a long time, and I saw that you were chairman or a member of the Bipartisan Climate Solutions Caucus, is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
Why'd you do that?
I represented a district where I was hearing from constituents on both sides of the aisle of how important it is that I was doing everything to fulfill their priorities, their policy pursuits.
It matters
They
to your
wanted me to join it.
constituents. Your constituents concerned about the environment.
Very much so, Senator.
Okay, well, and I think they're right to be. In terms of fires, and God bless the people of California. We want to help them as much as we can, quick as we can. Helena came through South Carolina and North Carolina. It's just very tough. Let's help people. Is it okay to try to look at lessons learned when you look at disasters? What can we do better next time?
We must do that, Senator.
Yeah, I would encourage you to not be deterred from looking at lessons learned, no matter where it happens in any part of the country. Let's learn from these disasters, see if we can do better next time. So one thing that I find fascinating is I can tell you what states grow corn because they want to talk about ethanol. I can tell you exactly when you have the Senator from Wyoming saying natural gas is clean, she's right. But why is she saying that? Because the truth is America has become environmentally sensitive. We want to lower emissions, but we don't want to wreck our economy. And it doesn't matter what we do if other people don't play the same game. So the good news for me to this committee is that energy-producing states, when that energy source seems to have a positive environmental impact, they're proud of it. Nuclear power, do you think nuclear power should be part of the mix?
Yes, Senator.
Yeah, me too. I think small modular reactors need to be looked at again. We had disasters building big nuclear power plants, but they're not emitting sources of fuel like every other fuel source. They have their problems and downside, but I'm glad I think my state has the most power from the nuclear industry per capita than any state in the nation, and I'm a big fan of trying to expand our nuclear power footprint. Look forward to working with you. Now, no matter what we do here, I think a lot of us feel like we've gone too far. EPA's ignored the law. They kind of have a political agenda rather than a congressional agenda, or they violate Supreme Court holdings. We'll have that debate among ourselves. But one thing I think we need to look at, no matter what we do here, we all care about the environment. But when it comes to CO2 emissions, let's just use that. China and India, the Paris Accords, to me, were insufficient to the task. I've been working with Senator Whitehouse. How can you get big economies like China and India to adopt better practices? Tariffs have, if you're a tariff person, your ship has come in. We have tariffs on everything and everybody, apparently. But one of the things that Senator Whitehouse and I have been talking about is a carbon pollution fee, tariff, call it whatever you want, that if you're in China and you're making steel and you have the worst business practices, you're in India, you have really basically no environmental practices at all. Europe and the United States, we're trying to have responsible manufacturing and energy extraction, trying to be environmentally sensitive, realize we've got to run an economy. What should we do about China and India? Do you like the idea, or at least you open-minded to the idea that people who basically use unsound science, reckless environmental policy, maybe it's time for them to pay a fee?
Well, Senator, and thank you for your service as well. As you remember learning about the DIME principle as an officer in the military, we have multiple instruments of national power. So putting aside the M, military, we have instruments of national power of multilateral, bilateral diplomacy, information operations, and economic pressure. We need to be utilizing all instruments of national power to be able to deal with adversaries abroad across the spectrum of all the issues that face our country. With regards to specific policies, and you brought this up, your work with Senator Whitehouse on this issue when we met in your office, and I know that this is important to both of you. Ultimately, this is a matter for Congress to decide in what direction Congress wants to see this country go as far as writing laws and
Do
creating
you agree
programs.
with the concept that we need to push China and India? I mean, they have an advantage. They're not playing the same game that Europe and the United States is playing, and I think it's a game we should all be playing. Are you open-minded to push them to do better?
Yes, Senator.
Right.